All right, I thought this could be a fun idea for a video. A lot of key players heading into the Super Bowl, right? A lot of superstars, but I figured there's plenty of players who are going to have an impact in this game. It's not just going to be the superstars. So these are, I believe it's actually 12 players total. A couple I combined because they play the same position and are, kind of similar logic. But these are the 10 players who could have a big impact in this upcoming Super Bowl that maybe aren't getting a lot of attention. Number 10 is a two players situation here, but Randy Gregory and Clelin Ferrell, these are both edge rushers for the San Francisco 49ers who, I think a lot of people have talked about Chase Young entering this because we know Nick Bosa is amazing. And the question is kind of, well, can Chase Young do enough kind of as the other guy to get enough pressure? But it's not just two edge rushers out there for every single snap. Bosa, he might play every snap, but Chase Young certainly won't. And so when Gregory or Ferrell come in, can they make something happen? Can they beat Donovan Smith on a key play? Because they should have, favorable one-on-one matchups. The question is just, can they succeed in those matchups, which should be interesting. So something to keep an eye out. Number 9, listen, I'll make a special teams video for the Super Bowl at some point, but Jake Moody definitely is someone who we have to talk about. I mean, he did make a couple key field goals in that comeback, but he also missed a field goal in the championship game. He's missed some key field goals this season, missed a game winner against Cleveland. So, he's had some misses, and he's a unique factor as well. The rookie kicker who you just have to wonder, could that backfire at the worst possible time? We saw with Buffalo, who had a good kicker. Missing a field goal can be absolutely devastating sometimes. Could that happen here with the 49ers? I don't know, but it's something to keep an eye out. Because I'm not just saying, when I bring up, when I'm saying players who could have an impact, could be a positive or negative impact, but just key players in the game that aren't going to get a ton of headlines. Number 8 is Jawan Jennings, who's really the 5th option for this team because you have, obviously, you have Kittle and McCaffrey, and then you also have Deebo Samuel, and you have, Brandon Ayuk, of course. And you could even argue that Kyle Juszczyk might be the actual 5th option. So you could argue Jennings is the 6th option for the 49ers, but he's their number 3 wide receiver. It's just a weird thing that's the case. So I feel like for Jawan Jennings, it seems like every big game he has one key third down conversion, right? Like he is someone who can make key plays. He had that one-handed catch against Detroit on a third down that got moved to sticks. So it's like he is capable of making some key plays, and I do wonder if he could be someone who could pop up and have an impact despite the fact that he isn't necessarily the biggest name brand receiver. Number 7 is Chiefs linebacker Drew Tranquil, who's actually gotten a decent amount of snaps as of late. And again, with the way the 49ers like to get linebackers out of position, I do wonder how well he's going to play. We trust Nick Bolton, we trust the other linebackers, and even Tranquil, I think, has played well this season. But it's just a question of, this is a different animal going up against San Francisco. And if he can live up to the challenge, well, that could be a real issue for the 49ers. But if he can't, that could be a real issue for the Chiefs. So definitely someone who, again, we talk about football being kind of a depth position at the end of the day. It's a position about depth. So for Tranquil, can he be someone who can, come through and win the key matchups? It'll be interesting to see. Number 6, how about Mike Dana of the Kansas City Chiefs, who, again, has been getting a lot of playing time for Kansas City. He's a edge rusher who also will play inside, kind of does both for Kansas City. And against San Francisco, again, we talk about, obviously, Trent Williams being amazing, but, they also had the McKivitz right tackle, which maybe there's some potential weaknesses. Also, they have some interior weaknesses. Maybe Dana can work there. And while the Chiefs have other edge rushers, I think Karlaftis gets the attention. I don't know if Dana is really someone who gets a ton of talk, but maybe should, because he is someone who is a solid player for them, and I could see having a key impact here. Number 5, I'm going Mike Edwards, the safety for the Chiefs, who, listen, some of these other players, brought up Mike Dana, Drew Tranquil, Jawan Jennings, part of why they're underrated is they're not every snap players. That's a big aspect of it. Edwards, for the most part, is, or at least he gets a lot of snaps for Kansas City. He does play a good amount. In the conference championship game, he was out there a ton. He is, he's a guy who gets a lot of playing time. He's just, he's a safety who does have a Super Bowl ring with a member. Actually, I believe he has 2 Super Bowl rings now I'm thinking about it, because he was with Kansas City last year as well. So has one of Tampa Bay. So going for his 3rd Super Bowl ring, has the experience. And again, has played all right this season. I don't know if he's a star. He's never been a star. But is someone who, again, with the way that the 49ers like to get players out of position, they might try him a couple times. And I could see him having to make a couple plays. Can he make it? Well, we'll see. But I could see him having an impact here. Number 4 is a guy who honestly might not play, although I think he will, but we haven't seen it for sure, which is Nick Alguetti, who is the backup guard for Kansas City, but with Joe Thuney working through an injury, which, as of recording this video, it has not officially been announced one way or the other, but what I've seen says it leans towards Thuney wouldn't play, but again, maybe he'll just tough it out and play through an injury. But if not, well, a backup offensive lineman has a key role here. I mean, for Kansas City, you can't help but think about how bad it went in the Super Bowl, in 2020 when they lost to Tampa Bay, when they had some offensive linemen. And while I think that's kind of often used as a scapegoat, there were other issues in that game other than just that. Certainly, you don't want to have an issue where there's pressure constantly, and if there is a backup guard, it can do a lot more than just one thing. It can now make it clear where your center is going to be blocking, which now makes stunts a lot easier. Like, there's a lot of benefit that it can cause to the defense if you have a certain thing. But if Alguetti can kind of live up to the challenge, well, then maybe this won't be an issue whatsoever. So just a guy who I'm sure no one's talking about, but could actually have a huge impact in the game if he ends up playing. Number 3, I'm going Justin Watson, where I've talked about this in the past, but, in other videos and stuff. But so Kelsey and Rashee Rice are both amazing against zone coverage and still good against man coverage. But Justin Watson is actually, if you look at yards per route ran, he has the highest yards per route ran out of any of their receivers in man coverage. And that's including Kelsey and Rice. Like, Watson has more yards per route ran than Kelsey or Rice when they're going up against man coverage. He is sometimes their man coverage beater. And for the 49ers, they play a lot of zone, but there will be man coverage aspects. And I don't think it's crazy that him, or like a MVS or McCole Hardman, but I decided to go with him because I feel like he's probably the most likely out of those, but definitely not someone anyone's talking about. But again, it wouldn't be crazy if he could have a huge impact at some point. Number 2 is Colton McCoy, another offensive lineman who I actually brought up earlier in this video. But again, how many people are talking about Colton McCoy on ESPN or something like that? And, probably whatever happens, he won't get talked about a ton. But I think about Andrew Wiley last year, who he was the guy who I was talking about a lot as a key impact player. Most people, again, are only talking about Mahomes or Hurts and that, but I shouldn't say most people, but, most talking heads and things like that. But Wiley ended up having a good game, and that was a key reason why they were able to win that game. Colton McCoy is in kind of a unique scenario, a similar scenario, right, where it's, okay, hasn't had a great season. He's not trash. He's not a mess or anything like that, but he's just not a great tackle. But if he can have a good game, it could go a long way. And number 1 is the corner tandem. It's 2 players. So number 1, it's a split spot. Joshua Williams and Jaylen Watson, the 2 corners for the Kansas City Chiefs. Because, we talk about Trent McDuffie as kind of an elite level slot guy. We also talk about L'Jarius Sneed as a great number 1 receiver. But for the 49ers, it's still about depth. And Williams and Watson have done a great job at defending depth this season. But I don't know if they've had a challenge quite like what they have now, going up against, might be Deebo Samuel and George Kittle on certain plays, right? Like, that's legitimately what they're going to have to do at times. They might have to cover Brandon Ayuk down the field on specific plays. Like, if the 49ers can get those matchups, they're going to try and get those matchups. And I legitimately think this could be the difference in the game. I legitimately think that this could be what wins or loses the game for the Chiefs. And they're 2 players that nobody is talking about. So that's the definition of the, underrated players heading into the Super Bowl. So definitely have to talk about them and how interesting this could be. But yeah, those are my thoughts on all of this. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.